So I just tweeted out like, would you want to maybe voice one of my characters or something like that? I don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
And then he ended up DMing me on Instagram. And I was like, what do you need? I was like, oh my God.
You're like, it worked. What?
I was like, are you serious?
Hi, my name is Chris Molly, and this is Pod in the Verse, a fan-first podcast dedicated toward everything having to do with the world of K-pop. Episode by episode, we'll dive deep into the latest Weverse content, get to know other fans, and keep up to date with what's going on in the K-pop world. So, grab your headphones, get comfortable, and get ready to dive into the pod with us. Y también, also, hay una versión en español que se llama Todo en el Verso. There's also a Spanish version of this podcast called Todo en el Verso, so please check that out if you'd like that. So today I have a very special guest with me, Jjolee. Let the folks know who you are.
Hi, I'm Jjolee. I am the creator of the webcomic Lost in Translation. You can actually read it for free on Webtoon right now. And Webtoon is a platform that hosts it. So you just go on there to search up Lost in Translation. And it's a scroll to read kind of concept. And it's free. So if you're interested, it's about K-pop. It's about K-pop. I swear.
Yeah, that's actually how I found it. It is, at least the form to read it is pretty easy because it's meant to be just read on your phone as opposed to like traditional comics that are reprinted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everyone check that out. And so today we're going to talk about you.
And thank you for having me.
I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but we're wearing very like rockish, bandish attire today. Even like my setup is kind of darker today. And it's because we're exploring like Jjolee's comic. We're going to talk about her, how she got there. But the most important question is first, how did you get into K-pop? That's our first question.
Oh man, it's been like so long. I remember like the first music video I've watched was DBSK's Balloons. I don't know if you remember. Yeah,
okay, that's so OG. That is OG.
Yeah, no, I didn't watch it when it first came out, but like I somehow like stumbled upon it on YouTube, and then from there I kind of like, you know, when you get more curious about other groups, so then you just kind of go through other music videos. UKISS was like the next one I was really into. And actually, yeah, they were like the first group that I actually got albums from. So, yeah, so UKISS. And then from there, it was Teen Top.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're like hitting all of like the beats.
Yeah. Teen Top was like a huge chunk of like my life. So I did like them for a long time. And then from there, it kind of like went into day 6. And I stayed there for a super long time. And that's kind of where like that I was like really, really into like Korean music.
Wow. I mean, the reason I say like OG is because, you know, now that K-pop there's just so much more to listen to, so many more new groups that are coming out. I find that when you get into K-pop, like 10-ish years ago, like everyone's beginning path was very similar. You find a video that like Balloons, that's kind of not like, I'm not trying to say ridiculous, but you look at it and you're like, I don't know what's going on in this video, but I really like this and I need to keep like looking for more. And so then you fall into other groups and you eventually find, like you said, like Day 6 was the last one that you were really, really into.
Yeah.
And you spend quite some time with them and they become kind of like a marker for that time from when you really were so involved in it. So, but I will say, I mean, unlike me, because I haven't really created much from my love of K-pop, you kind of did. So like, okay, so that's how you got into K-pop. How did you get into webcomics?
You know, when you're like a kid or like young and you just kind of like want to read like comics and stuff. Webtoon at the time, you know, it's still free, but like that's kind of like the platform that I saw on Google and I was like, oh, I could read stuff on here. And so I was reading Lookism when I when I first like was reading Webtoon and stuff, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. But then I saw like there's a section on Webtoon at the time called Discover, and it's basically a platform for anyone to upload whatever story they want to. So I saw like people making their own stories and stuff, and I was like, this is really cool. Like I really want to make one myself. Even if no one's gonna read it, I was gonna, I was gonna give it a shot, right? Like who knows when I was probably going to update it maybe once a month or something. But I ended up updating like every week. So
wow. That's like such a commitment.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then you basically first got into just like kind of reading like webcomics and then decided, well, maybe I should try making one. It's not like it's going to be anything serious, just something I do every week. But I want to know, so then what made you decide like to go for the topic that you did? Because like lookism doesn't have anything to do with music. So what made you want to make a music-based webcomic?
Well, at the time, I really liked K-pop because I was still like in my teen top, like day 6 kind of era. So at the time, going back a little bit, the reason I started in the first place was because I was going through like a difficult time. Like I was working as a pharmacy technician for my parents because they did not want me to pursue art at all.
It's a very relatable dream.
Tried to stop me so many times, and I always found a way, and they were always upset about it. So I was like, you know what? I'll work in the pharmacy like you want, but I get to go home and then I get to draw. Like you can't take that from me. And like that was the agency I wanted for myself. Like I wanted to get some control back into my life because I felt like I was losing it, right? And then I lost my sister. She moved away. She moved to Korea, actually. She left me. Okay. And so, she was like the closest person to me and my family. She really supported my work and like my art and stuff like that. She's always been supportive, even when she's over there. So, so that's when I started making the webtoon. And at the time, I still loved K-pop a lot. And I thought like this concept of an idol being like misunderstood could be really interesting. And I ended up putting a lot of like my own personal struggles into the characters. So it was really like
self-reflective almost.
Yeah, it was really something from the heart. So yeah, I'm really glad I ended up posting it, even though I was like, no one's gonna read this.
Maybe like me and like a friend or my sister will read it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's such an interesting way that you said that you basically were struggling with, you're doing something that is not necessarily for you, but it's for your family and you still want to have your one corner, your one pocket of time dedicated to something you love. Yeah. And that's why you even ended up starting drawing the webcomic for so long.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that you were a pharmacy tech. That's a pretty heavy job. So how did you even juggle doing an episode every single week with a full-time job?
That's the thing. When I first started, I didn't know what I was getting into, right? Like, I don't know what I thought it would be something I was capable of. I mean, I ended up being fine about it, but it was definitely really hard because I didn't know a lot of things that I was like, because I was still training and I didn't necessarily know like all the drugs and their purposes and stuff like that. The job as a technician was a lot more than I thought initially. So I was like really stressed out about like not fitting in and not being able to pull my weight in the pharmacy. Yeah, so it was definitely really difficult at the time. And when I was working on the webtoon, actually, I was working full time in the pharmacy as well, and also studying to get like the registration license to be like an actual pharmacy technician, right? Because I was only a trainee when I first started. So yeah, I was doing a lot of these things.
That's like a full-time job plus studying, which for some is like, could also be a full-time job when you really get into it. Plus you're taking time out of your day to like, to make this webcomic. But then at the time, were you also, because you started doing this kind of like by yourself, you were writing the story yourself, you were drawing everything yourself, you were editing everything yourself. How many hours do you think that was additional?
So it's 40 hours a week in the pharmacy, right? Like, depending, I could stay over if they really need my help. So every day after I came home from work, I would immediately just start drawing and like working on the episode and stuff like that. So a lot of the time, I remember, I was a different beast back then. I don't know, but I remember
it was the love. It was the love that kept you going.
Yeah, definitely. I remember going home after work to draw the webtoon, and then over the weekends, I would commit to the webtoon as well. So it took those hours being off from work and then hours of the weekend too. Like, I remember having to tell my friends, like, oh, I can't hang out this weekend because I have to work on my webtoon. So it was a lot of that. I didn't see my friends for a while, and they were like, are you okay? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm just, I've just been working. And
right.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned your friends and you mentioned your family. So when you first started doing this, was this something that you told your family and friends initially, or was it just, I just need time to draw? Don't ask me why, I just need to draw.
I don't necessarily remember. I remember that I didn't tell my family about it. They just thought I was drawing. They didn't know I was drawing like a story or anything like that.
Like you're publishing a whole story.
Yeah, I think after like 3 or 4 episodes, because I was getting some traction at that time. And like I was getting like the first episode I ever put down. I remember I had like 20 comments on that, and I was like, that's crazy. Whoa. I've never seen that before. Yeah. And so so after like 3 or 4 episodes, I remember posting it and telling my friends like, oh yeah, I've been working on this. You don't have to read it. I've just been working on this. And so, they did know. My parents eventually, I told them when I started getting paid for it. So it took
to prove like, look, months. I can draw for money.
Yeah, it wasn't much. No, it wasn't much, but it was like,
hey, income is income.
Exactly. I was like, oh, I'm getting some money from this, and my mom was like, what is that? And I was like, it's a story, and I drew it, and she was, I think she was concerned, like, you're still working in the pharmacy though, right? Like, you're not doing this. I know you're doing this for like a side thing, but you're not gonna change into this kind of thing.
Right.
Lo and behold.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that because it sounds like it wasn't like, while you started getting traction super early. I mean, in your first couple of episodes, that's amazing. You kind of had this going for a couple of years. About how long were you both working on your job as well as doing your comic?
So I would say it was like 3 years I was working on the comic and my job in the pharmacy.
With weekly releases.
Yeah. It eventually, like, I think after 2 years, I eventually did like every 2 weeks or something. I don't really remember because it was like getting to, like, I was getting burnt out, right? And I wanted to invest more time into the episodes so it's not like rushed or anything like that. So that's why I changed the schedule then. But then Lost in Translation got licensed in 2020. So I had to start over kind of thing. And that's when I quit my pharmacy job to do this full time. And that was 2020. So now it's like been 5 years, but it ended like 1-2 years ago. So I guess like for the entire duration was like 6 to 7 years of working on that one webtoon.
Wow, that's amazing. And also now you finally gave context to something that I was wondering, because I actually, for those listening, I actually had read part of this webcomic a couple of years ago. And I remember being very confused because I was reading it and then out of nowhere, I started seeing the first chapter again. Yeah. Like, and I was like, wait, what's going on? Like, I had no idea, but at that time, it was a huge change for you, a huge positive change.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. But you mentioned Burnout. And I mean, if you're doing anything for 6 to 7 years, Like, I feel like eventually, like, motivation kind of wanes, or, especially if you have your other job that you were doing before you had it licensed. How did you deal with the burnout?
Oh man, I it's tough. Because I felt like I think maybe I like went too fast into it. I thought I like, oh, this is like I love drawing. I'm never gonna have any issues, right? But then like
Right.
my wrists started hurting and stuff like that because you're drawing for so long,
Yeah.
and I
It's not
had
like
to
you can
start
switch
learning like
hands.
exactly. I can only draw my left hand. That's it. So I ended up like having to wear my like hand bracelet a lot of the time to kind of combat that. But I remember whenever I would feel down about it or something like that, I would always like look at old comments and stuff like that, like people
Oh.
being really supportive of the work. I don't want to cry. I'm gonna like try to stop myself, but I just look back on it really fondly, So yeah, that definitely helped me pull through.
I feel like that's, it resonates also a lot because, like you've mentioned, you've put a lot of yourself into this
Mm-hmm.
webcomic. Like, it was your first really big thing that you ended up doing. And
Mm-hmm.
so the main character, like, in your webcomic, we're not going to go too much into details because, like, I want you guys to read it.
Yeah.
But but it is like a member of a band, and one of the members does struggle a lot. And so
Mm-hmm.
was it almost like a form of, like, I don't want to say like a form of therapy, but like something that helped you, knowing that you were putting in your struggles into this webcomic and you were able to like get them out in that way, but also kind of help that character resolve like some of
Mm-hmm.
the issues he was facing?
Yeah, it definitely was an outlet for me because a lot of the time I felt like a lot of the struggles I was going through, I couldn't talk about it or I didn't know how to like deal with it kind of thing because it's not like
Right.
my family was very like, oh, if you have any problems, just talk to us, right? It was kind of like,
Right.
I'll keep this here so it doesn't become your problem, like
Right.
it
Which
was
a lot
kind
of
of like,
people I think can relate to. Like, I think it's
yeah,
more common than people think.
yeah. So I ended up putting, parts of myself into different characters in the webtoon, and it was just like reimagined ways of like their upbringing centered around this issue, right?
Right.
So then I got like comments about people like saying that they related to certain characters, and like
Oh,
in a
wow.
way I was like, I feel you, like because that's what I put into them, like from myself. So like it was really, it just felt like I wasn't alone in facing these struggles.
I think that's so cool that because I think it relates a lot to music. Like, that's how basically
Mm,
how music, that's what K-pop is also for a lot of people. Like, it's an outlet for them to feel better or to feel understood or to feel like
yeah.
a little less alone, especially when you create community.
Mhm.
And like with yours, K-pop, speaking of K-pop and speaking of your webcomic, Jjolee she achieved something that I feel like 99% of us literally dream
Oh my
about.
god.
You tell us a story about how basically part of your inspiration re-entered like your life as you were drawing this webcomic. And I'm specifically talking about how you had an OST sung by a very special artist.
Yeah, that part was crazy actually. I still look back on it, I'm like, how did that even happen? Like it's still something I always keep on my mind because um I never thought it was possible. So I had worked on like some like songs for Mayhem before.
hmm
Um
Mayhem the band
yes,
in your
for my website.
webcomic.
Yes.
Yes.
Um so I've done like a couple of covers for them whenever before I got licensed and stuff like that. So
Right.
like because I wanted my readers to have something kind of outside of the webcomic for them to like look at and like enjoy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
You
I
wanted to add
would
music to a music webtoon.
yeah, I was like I wanted to kind of like promote them like they're a real group and stuff like that. It would be really
Yeah.
fun. So I would commission different artists that I found and would asked them to like, oh, can you make a cover of like this song so that it could be like my character singing it, like, you know, kind of thing.
Give them a voice.
Yes, exactly. And so they would be happy to do it. But there was one character in there that was never able to get like a cover for, and that was my character Day.
I feel like we're leading into the story now.
Yes. So after I got licensed, I was working on trying to get like in a real song done, like not a cover, but like a real song for Mayhem.
An original song.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So I was like, oh man, I don't know how I can have Day be in it, because his voice is like, there's a voice that I'm thinking of for him, but there's like no way it was gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
Until here comes Ish. Previously known as Jay from Day 6. He was my bias at the time when I loved Day 6 a lot. He had released a song called Pac-Man. And that was under his solo stuff. So
I think that was one of his first, like one of his first singles.
I thought it would be funny to promote or like help support and by like drawing an image of like one of my characters, and like it looks like he doesn't have a shirt on, but it's like cropped so you can't even tell. And I tweeted it and I was like, here's the full image, and then I had like a link to Asia's video Pac-Man. And so a lot of my readers went onto the link thinking that it would be an image of my character, but they were like, oh my god, wait, it's a really cool song instead. And so they commented a lot about it on the video. Yeah. And so I think that's how, I never asked him for sure, but I think that's how he found out about the about like what I did, because he did like reply to my tweet. He did end up like yeah.
Wait, like the original tweet with the here's the image, click to find the rest.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was probably like, who is this? Like, who's this shirtless thing that they're talking about? Like,
who is trying to promote my music but through a web, like a drawing?
Yeah, exactly. He kind of knows who I am now, maybe a little bit. Maybe I can like, since I am working on this song or like trying to get it started, right? Maybe he'll be willing to voice Day for me. So I just tweeted out like, would you want to maybe voice one of my characters or something like that? I don't remember.
Oh my gosh.
And then he ended up DMing me on Instagram and was like, what do you need? I was like, oh my god.
You're like, it worked. What?
I was like, are you serious? Oh my god, it's happening. It's happening. I'm going to have a voice for Day. The voice that I wanted for him, you know? And so it started from there. And he was super nice. I'm never gonna take this for granted, because he really cared about the project too, and he didn't want a dime from me. Like, yeah, he did that for free. I was like, are you sure? Like, I feel like I should be paying you for this, because I paid everybody on the project. And so, but he was like, no, it's fine. Like, I got you. And I was like, oh my god, that's like crazy.
So basically, because I'm trying to like word this right. So someone that you were inspired by so many years ago to even start like making a webcomic based off of musicians. Years later, you're able to interact with them, and they're touched by like the project that you worked on, and they want to be part of it. Like, that's an insane. Like, how did you feel when it all came together, when he finally recorded his voice and you heard Day's voice, but it's each and
yeah, I know. It was like surreal, and like looking back on it, I'm a little embarrassed because I was probably like really into like I was probably really into it, but I'm just so grateful to this day. I just like, I can't believe he gave me that chance, and he didn't have to, you know, he didn't have to do any of that, and especially not like record and voice as Day. Like, that was insane that he offered that, and I'll never forget it. And I still talk to him from time to time, and so sometimes the last thing I actually sent him was like I had drawn a photo card of Day, my character, that was loosely inspired by him. And I was
Very
like, hey,
loosely.
yeah. I was like, hey, can you sign this? He was like, I got you.
Oh my gosh. So now, you not only have a voice for Day, now you also have Day signature. That's awesome. I think like that sounds like such a full circle moment. Like you worked so hard. You did something that even if like, you know, some of the people around you didn't understand why you were doing it, it was something for you. It was something that you were inspired to do. And you just kept consistently doing your best to work on it. And to see like a result like that is just, wow. That's incredible.
You know, I don't even know how to put words. I'm like trying not to cry because
because her makeup looks too good. She's trying not to cry.
It's not waterproof, so.
No, I mean, I think that something that most K-pop fans can like, I guess, talk about is like, or they can relate to. Something that they can all relate to is like what it feels like to be inspired by a medium, right? And so I think what I really admire about your story is that you took something that you loved and decided I want to I want to do something for me, and like hopefully other people will see themselves and hopefully other people will like it. And then you created like a little community that you could even call on, that when that moment came for you to do that joke, they would ride for you and be like, yeah, I'm going to click on it. Wait, what's this? Oh, wait, this is pretty good, actually.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. It's so embarrassing that it worked out like that, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, you know? Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. It was unique. I like the approach because it was very sincere. It's like, I love the song. What can I do to get more people to listen to it? I think it'd be really funny if I use my art as a way to lure my fans to the song.
Exactly.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. So then it has been a while. You mentioned that Lost in Translation finished about a year or two ago. So, you know, what are you currently doing? Are you still drawing? What's going on?
I'm doing a little bit of a lot of things. I am definitely still drawing. I love to illustrate a lot more now. I feel like I have more time to like hone my craft a little bit. So I am doing like some freelance work. But nice. I am working on another webcomic as well.
Okay.
On the side a little bit. It's still, you know, a work in progress, so I can't say too much about it. But yeah, I am still like doing like storytelling and stuff like that. For sure.
I love that. So it's something that continues to be part of your life. Even though like Lost in Translation there's a bow tie on it. It's good. Yeah. It lives and breathes as it is. You still are using like that talent to go on to maybe do another little project that we might see in the future.
Yeah.
maybe. Thank you so much, Jjolee, for sharing like your journey with us. Like I myself am so inspired by what you've said because I'm no artist either. I think it's amazing that you saw the discover part of the application and was like, I think I want to make something. Because I would have been like, that's cute. Let me just read. I've never felt the inclination to draw anything for anyone, but I think it's so cool that you created your whole webcomic, a whole other band with it, music. They had their own releases. Like this was a living and breathing thing. Like, so yes, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Of course.
And I know I've been inspired, and I'm certain everyone else listening has been inspired. Go read the webcomic. It's amazing. But now we're moving on to the Weverse wrap up. Lots of stuff is always going on for Weverse, but I just have like two highlights in particular that I want to shout out. And the first is Cat's Eye's new single, Gnarly, is finally out.
Oh my gosh, yay!
I know. It's such a different look. Like, I'm so excited to know what people think about it. Anytime they come out with something new, it's always such an event. So yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to hear what you guys think about it. And then also, April 30th marks D-minus 30 days for Weverse Con Festival. Online streaming tickets will go on sale around May 1st.
Yo, you need to get those.
I know, like everyone run to get those, or at least, stay on Weverse so you know when the tickets are out on sale, which is May 1st. Weverse Con is always such a huge event, so I can't wait to see what the lineup is. It's going to be great. And that's been the Weverse wrap up. And so now we're moving into the fan zone. So for this week's fan zone, I have a prompt. I like to give prompts, and this one's a bit creative. It's going to be, related to the episode. But you guys have heard Jjolee's story with how she made her webcomic that was based on musicians. So I want to know for you guys, if you were to make a webcomic based off your favorite group, musician, who would you choose? And what would the storyline be? Because that's really important. It's not just the group, but where would you put them? So Jjolee, you could tell us a little bit about, Mayhem and how that works out. And I'll give my answer, and then you guys can answer in the comments.
Oh man. Well, yeah, since mine is already established, Lost in Translation is about an idol who goes by the name Wild. It's his stage name, and he kind of goes through a lot of misunderstandings in the industry, and so his name is kind of painted in a bad light. Yeah, and so it's kind of a webtoon about his journey coming to terms with that and kind of overcoming a lot of the misunderstandings under his name kind of thing.
I feel like if I were to make a webcomic, because, I don't know if I have the creative juice to go for 7 years the way you did, but at least starting out, there'd be great episodes. It probably would be about a group, probably similar, but I think I would have my group that maybe that they didn't have a ton of success at the time that they were popular, and they either end up traveling 15 years back in the past where they get to be one of the first to do this kind of music, and then they kind of redefine their career in that moment. Ooh. There'd be hijinks, there'd be comedy. It might only just run for 5 episodes because I feel like the creative juice would just run out. But I'd like to believe. I'd like to believe, I could go on for a while.
Well, you had a bunch of breaks.
If I had a bunch of breaks, yeah. I don't know if I could do it every single week the way you did. That's commitment and determination, and I applaud your work ethic. But yeah, that's basically what I would do. So everyone listening, who would you pick? What would you have them do? What would be the plot, the storyline? And let us know in the comments. And that's been the Fan Zone. So thank you so much again, Jjolee, for coming and talking and sharing your story. It's been incredible to even listen to it. Aww. Let everybody know where they could find you, what you're up to, and yeah, just let the folks know.
Yeah, I'm usually on Twitter. It's not the best place to be, but that's where I am usually. It's under the handle Sorrow Talks right now. It was my alt account, but so it's SORROWTALKS. And then my Instagram is _Jjolee, my alias is JJOLEE. So those are the main two I usually use right now.
And also keep an eye out, because we never know if we're going to get that other piece of work that's coming out. And as for us, Pod on the Verse, you guys can always remember to follow our socials, stay in contact with us, Spotify, Instagram. Follow us everywhere, and also talk in the comments, answer the prompt. Let us know what you thought about, the story today that we heard. And, this has been
Pod on the Verse.
Bye.
Bye.